My grandmother used to tell me that some promises save you, and some promises trap you, and most of the time, you can't tell the difference until years later. She told me that on her porch in Hood River, Oregon, looking out over 60 acres of apple trees her own father had planted. What she didn't tell me for a long time was the rest of it, that she once married a man she barely knew, in a courthouse hallway, with mud still on her boots, because her father's will gave her exactly 5 days to do it, or lose everything he'd ever built. This is her story, the way she told it to me, and by the end of it, you'll understand why she said some conditions, written out of love, can still feel like a trap when you're the one standing inside it. Before we dive deeper, let us know in the comments where you're watching from. We'd love to hear from you. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss any of our upcoming videos. Her name was Mara Doyle, 26 years old, the younger daughter of Walter Doyle, who had run the Doyle family orchard outside Hood River for almost 40 years. Her half-brother, Curtis, was 10 years older, sharp-suited, and had left the orchard at 19, swearing he'd never come back to smell like fruit rot for a living. When Walter died suddenly of a heart attack in early October, Curtis came back fast, faster than grief usually moves a person. 3 unanswered questions sat at the center of what happened next. Why had Walter written a marriage condition into his will at all? Who had he written the neighbor's name down for? And what did Curtis already know about the will before the lawyer ever read it aloud? Mara didn't have those answers yet. She only had 5 days. Mara had grown up between 2 worlds, the way a lot of ranch and orchard kids do. School clothes on weekdays, work boots on the weekend, comfortable in a classroom, and comfortable in a 100-pound crate of Honeycrisp apples. She'd studied agricultural business at Oregon State, with the plan of coming home and modernizing the orchard's irrigation and sales channels. Walter had been proud of that, in the quiet way men of his generation showed pride, which mostly meant he stopped introducing her as his daughter who's still figuring things out. Curtis had never wanted any of it. He'd gone into commercial real estate in Portland, and every visit home came with an undertone Mara had learned to recognize, a comment about property values, a question about acreage, a joke about how much the land alone was worth, without a single tree standing on it. Walter had noticed it too. My grandmother told me this part more than once, like she needed me to understand it wasn't sudden. Her father had pulled her aside the spring before he died and said, almost offhand, "I've been thinking about protecting this place, protecting you." She hadn't asked him what he meant. She wished, for the rest of her life, that she had. The neighbor was Sam Coleman, 31, who ran a smaller orchard and a handful of cattle on the property line adjoining the Doyles. Sam had helped Walter with equipment repairs for years, the kind of quiet, dependable presence a family gets used to without ever really noticing. Mara knew him the way you know someone you've waved to across a fence line for a decade. Friendly, familiar, not close. Neither of them had any idea, that October, how much that was about to change. The will was read on a Tuesday, 4 days after the funeral, in a narrow office above the Hood River bank that smelled like old carpet and coffee. The estate lawyer, a careful, silver-haired man named Arthur Pell, read through the standard language first, the equipment, the house, the 2 trucks, before he got to the paragraph that made Curtis go very still in his chair. Walter had left the orchard jointly to Mara and Curtis, with one condition, attached specifically to Mara's controlling share. If she was not legally married within 30 days of his passing, full operational control would default to Curtis, who could sell, lease, or dissolve the property as he saw fit. Mara sat frozen. Curtis, to her surprise, didn't look surprised at all. "He told you," she said to her brother, right there in the office, her voice barely above a whisper. Curtis didn't answer directly, which was its own kind of answer. Arthur Pell cleared his throat and moved them along, but Mara had already clocked something that would matter later. Curtis had brought his own folder to a reading he claimed to know nothing about. She had 26 days left. That night, she drove past Sam Coleman's place twice before she made herself stop the truck, walk up the porch steps in the rain, and knock. What she asked him for was not what he expected, and it would take him the rest of the night to say yes. Sam said yes at the kitchen table. Over coffee neither of them drank, with one condition of his own: no lies between them, not about what this was. They married at the county courthouse 11 days later, quietly, with Arthur Pell as a witness, because Mara trusted no one else to make it official without word reaching Curtis first. It reached him anyway. Within a day, Curtis showed up at the orchard with 2 men in pressed jackets, a regional development firm scouting the property informally, he said, in case things went a certain way. Mara stood her ground in the mud between the rows, and for the first time since the funeral, she heard her own voice come out steady. "This land is not for sale, and it isn't yours to show." Over the following weeks, the orchard workers watched to see who was really in charge. Mara made mistakes: a shipment she underordered, a spray schedule she got wrong the first time, and fixed them in front of people instead of hiding them, which did more for her standing than any speech could have. Sam taught her which suppliers to call before they called her, and stayed 2 steps behind her in front of the crew on purpose, so the workers would learn to look at Mara, not at him. Then, going through Walter's old desk for tax documents, Mara found something that didn't fit: a folded note in her father's handwriting, dated the spring before he died, addressed to no one, that read only, "Ask Pell about the other letter before Friday." Neither she nor Sam could figure out what it meant. Arthur Pell, when she called him, went quiet on the phone, in a way that worried her more than anything Curtis had said all month. There was a second letter. Pell had been holding on to it since before Walter died, waiting for a date that was now only days away. Pell asked Mara and Curtis to come in together on the Friday the note referenced, which happened to be the same day new appraisal paperwork on the orchard was due, paperwork Curtis had quietly commissioned without telling his sister. When they sat down, Pell explained that Walter had drafted a second, private letter alongside the will, to be opened only if 2 conditions were both met. Mara had married in time, and Curtis had attempted to sell or appraise the property before the full year of shared ownership was up. Both conditions had now been met. The letter revealed what Walter had actually been protecting Mara from. Years earlier, Curtis had asked their father for an early advance against his inheritance to cover a failed real estate deal in Portland. Money Walter had quietly given him, off the books, on the condition Curtis never contest the will or push to sell the orchard while Mara was still building her life there. Curtis had taken the money and, according to bank records Walter had kept copies of, had already begun negotiating the appraisal in violation of that private agreement before his father was even 6 months in the ground. Curtis's face, for the first time since the funeral, lost every bit of its polish. Mara didn't feel triumphant. She felt, she told me, mostly sad. Sad that her father had needed to build a legal fortress instead of simply trusting his children to talk to each other. Because Curtis had broken the private agreement, the letter voided his remaining claim to operational input on the orchard entirely. Not his ownership stake, which the will still protected, but his say in whether it was ever sold. Mara would run it. Curtis could keep his share of any future profit, but he would never again get to stand in the rows and tell workers what to do. He left the office without another word, and according to my grandmother, she never saw him step foot on the orchard again. He kept his financial share for years, quietly, from a distance, and the 2 of them settled into a strained but civil politeness that never quite became forgiveness, and she said that was all right. Not every family story ends in reconciliation, and she'd stopped needing it to. The marriage that started as a 5-day deadline did not stay a deadline. Mara told me she couldn't point to one exact day it changed, only that somewhere between the fence line and the loose cattle and the quiet dinners at Sam's kitchen table, she stopped thinking of it as an arrangement and started thinking of it as her life. My grandmother, because that's who she was to me, used to end this story the same way every time. Your grandfather Sam and I never once talked about love, not for the first 2 months. We just kept showing up for each other. Turns out, that's most of what love is anyway. I still think about the question she'd ask afterward, and I'll leave it with you too. If the people who love us sometimes protect us in ways that feel like control, does the outcome make the method forgivable, or does it only feel that way once everything works out? If you were Mara, would you have knocked on that door? Or would you have let the deadline pass and walked away from the orchard entirely? Tell us in the comments what stayed with you most about her story: the letter, the wedding, or the brother who never came back. If this kind of story moved you, stick around, because next week we're bringing you another hidden tale of family, secrets, and the promises that hold people together or apart. And if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe so you don't miss it.